What's good? Welcome to Vlogmas Day 9. If y'all notice a slight difference in quality of the video, I really don't know if there's actually gonna be a difference or not, but I'm using my grandma's iPad. You know, it's a newer iPad than mine. Mine's kind of turning to shit. So I figured I'd use hers and see how that'd be recording some videos on it and attempt to give y'all some better quality content so I can actually afford better equipment for certain things. I do have some new shit. I'm still getting the works of, and I have to get my little camera that I got. I gotta get it out of this certain color that it keeps making me look hella orange and shit, and I'm not trying to look like what is it my skin tone. So once I figure that out, so it looks like how this looks, then we'll get started, and I'll get me a new SD card, and we'll get rolling on that shit. But I might just sell that shit and get a new camera altogether, because that shit, I don't know why they set it up like that, but it's hella hard to get the SD shit out. And it's like hella fucking annoying. And I don't want it to when I have to like upload some shit at a crucial time and I can't because this shit's bugging out, you feel me? So we'll see about that. But for now, I'll just use this. So I saw this TikTok this morning that I may or may not just slip in at some point. Yeah, I'll just include it in there. So y'all take a look at this.
Okay, so I don't know how many people saw the promo that I put on of this song that I wanted to put out called Odo, and I wasn't singing. I was attempting to sing Tree in one line, saying "Tell me what you want," and a lot of people continue to bully me and say this is not Tree, this is not Tree, when in reality I could not sing the correct pronunciation. But if I sat here and said it to you guys just regularly, everybody would understand. And I really think it's honestly because I'm only half. And I think there's a lot of other people that can relate to me that have been born here in the US. And it's just kind of fucked up that I'm trying to connect to my culture and you guys sat up here and told me to not even release a song. Like, that's fucked up.
Yeah, so basically, like, I felt this girl, like, on a whole nother level, because, like, I'm also half Guinean. I feel like a lot of people don't know that. But I'm also half Guinean. My dad is African American. So I do understand some of that shit because I've met a lot of, full Guineans that have, like, treated me differently. And not even when they necessarily know that I'm half Guinean. It's just because I was born here and raised here, which is like another thing that she mentioned. Like they act like because we're here, like we don't know shit about our culture, how to speak the language, or I mean, okay, so some of us don't know. Actually, a lot of us don't know. Some of us understand more Fanti than Tree, or more Tree than Fanti. Like, if I had to pick one to speak, I'd pick Tree because, like, it's easier for me to understand because it's not so flowy. It's like very, like, I don't know how to explain it. Like, it's like a brick, It's straightforward. When I hear it, I think it's a pronunciation thing. Like, when I hear it, it's like very, I just get it. With Fanti, sometimes I'm like, I'm not fully sure how to pronounce it when it's said to me, so I just feel better with Tree, and like I can write some Tree. It's very little, but I can write a little bit of Tree. But I understand a lot of Fanti because growing up, like my grandparents, mostly my grandma, would just mix the Fanti with English, and or some Tree, Fang Twinglish, combine all that shit together. So I just knew a little bit of everything, but not quite to the point of really being fluent in either Tree or Fanti, or let alone Gan, wherever, whatever. I forget that shit. I don't know shit. I might know like one word in Gan ever. I can understand, like, I can tell when I'm hearing Gan, when I'm hearing Ewe sometimes, but I don't understand what's being said. I can just see how different it is from Fanti and Tree, which has always been fascinating to me. And I love hearing those because I don't hear them very often because everyone acts like Fanti and especially Tree is the only language that exists in Ghana, when there's so many others and dialects and shit. Which is like another issue I have. Like as y'all can see, from the title of this video, like this TikTok kind of inspired me. I've been meaning to do some shit like this, but I completely forgot like months ago, a video like this. But there's just a lot of things that I really don't like about my culture. As much as I love it, there's a lot of things that like piss me the fuck off that I've already gotten into some arguments about. So I honestly don't care if this video gets some people who feel some type of way, because this is just how I feel about it. And I'm not finna like step down from that shit, because I've, you know, like y'all felt like that all your life. I felt like this all my life. I respect how you feel. I don't agree with it, but I respect how you feel, so I expect the same in return. But yeah, it's just like, for instance, like the whole left hand shit, like not shaking with your left hand, like handing shit with your left hand. That shit has always annoyed the fuck out of me. And somebody was like, oh, it's because forgive me if this is not the full explanation or not spot on, but somebody told me it was because you wipe your ass with your left hand. And I was like, why are you assuming that you know what you can't assume that everybody wipes their ass with their left hand. Like, what if they're using their right? What if they're ambidextrous? You know, like there's a bunch of factors with it. It's like a very black and white shit, and I've never fully got that. And it's always annoyed me, like how annoyed some people would get with that kind of shit. Like maybe back in the day, and I'm sure even now, certain households, people would get beat over shit like that, which is stupid to me. I think it's stupid to beat a child for any reason, because it's a fucking child. Like, why are you? But that's a whole other discussion. But that shit has always annoyed me to the core. Like, I remember there was a party going on. It was like just after a party we had, and I handed somebody something, an uncle, I guess I'll just say an uncle, which is that's something else I'm gonna bring up, but an uncle, so y'all can get the context. And my grandpa was like, oh, why are you handing it with your left hand? And I was like, the fuck? And the uncle himself didn't even care. He was like, oh, it's fine. It's not a big deal. Like, we're not. Even if I was in Ghana, I would still have something to say about it. I'd probably get a lot more heat since I'd physically be in Ghana. But I'm like, we're already here. We do some Americanized shit anyway. And I think one of those things should be to not make such a big deal out of that, because it's not that serious. Like, I don't understand. There's just certain things I just don't think need to be a thing. No one's being harmed by using their left hand. It's not as big as they're trying to make it and be dramatic about. So that shit's always annoyed me. Like, making me feel like I did some horrible thing when it's clearly not that serious. Especially if the person themselves isn't that offended. You feel me? Like, I don't understand why shit has to be like that, you know? That's happened to me a few times, that whole left hand shit. And then if I do choose to have kids, which I highly doubt that right now, and before anyone's like, oh, you're young and shit, I know my people who are my age who know for a fact that that's something they want, and some of us are not going to change our minds, and some of us are. You feel me? But I'm just like, no. I have several reasons for that. If y'all ever want me to make a video about that, I could do it. Another VLOGMAS shit. But, you know, if I were to decide that all of a sudden one day I'm gonna like tell my kids that that's not something I believe in, but I will leave it up to them. If they don't want to hand someone something because they want to follow certain things in the culture, that's fine by me. Because I'm gonna explain everything. I'm gonna explain my entire culture to my kids. I'm going to tell them what I think is good. I'm going to tell them what's bad. I'm going to leave it up to them. With, like, most things. The only thing I'm not going to tolerate is shit like homophobia, that sort of thing. Or, like, the whole abuse thing. And, you know, that or, like, abusing anyone or, like, unnecessary, you know, violent, that kind of thing. But for the most part, I'm going to leave it up to them, because I think that's how it should be. Because when you view all that strict authoritarian shit, they're just gonna go behind your back and do what the fuck they want to do anyway. You're just wasting your time. Okay, I was one of those kids. So that, with that being said, that's what it's gonna be. Another thing that I don't like is having to try, like, calling everybody fucking uncle or auntie or some shit, even if they're not like related to you by blood or something. The reason why I don't like this shit is because growing up, people would always use these titles to their advantage and abuse their roles in your life, and act like they can just tell you whatever the fuck, or belittle you, or talk down on you, be condescending and all this rude ass shit just because they're an uncle or an auntie. And for that reason, I'm like, I don't give a fuck about that shit anymore. Like, for the most part, I'm able to avoid calling people that. I will still, if I can't get their attention, then I just can't, because I'm not calling you that shit. There's maybe, I could probably count on my hands, like, less than 5 people in this world that I call that, and it doesn't bother me because I like them that much, and I feel like there's a mutual respect, and that they don't feel like they're above me just because they're older than me. And for me, it's like more of an endearing term for people like that. So I'll just say auntie or uncle, but that's very few. That's less than 5. Less than 5 people. And I'm like, nah, for the rest of y'all, fuck you. Like, I don't give a fuck. That's like, I know some people I've talked to about this in my generation of like Ghanaian people that are like, they'll do it, but only if it's like someone who's extremely close to them, that they would tell their kids to call them uncle or auntie. But if it's like the way it starts now, we don't see someone for 5 fucking years or something, and they're not even like have been in our lives like ever, but we see them one time and we're expected to do that shit. Absolutely not, because they will have a fucking, like, it'll be the end of the fucking world if you do some shit. They're like, oh my god, they don't talk. That's the shit that they choose to make a big deal about, and it annoys me because people take advantage, and I don't like that shit. So I'm like, nah, I don't care. I'm tired of shit being set up to where the younger people are on the shorter end of the stick, and they act like it's all about the older people. I don't care. Like, y'all were kids once too, and you're not gonna sit here and tell me that you liked being treated that way. Or like, oh, well, that's how I was raised. Okay, and look how the fuck you turned out. You're a fucking asshole. Like, I don't get it. Granted, some of them turned out to be nice people, but a lot of them did not. And they'll just kind of do all this shit and kind of speak to you any kind of way and be like, oh, go do this for me. You know, no kind of please, but expect you to be all polite and shit. Like, y'all have that charity starts at home shit up your ass. Like, y'all are the home, the fuck. And y'all don't be doing this shit to us. Like, you're like, oh, treat others how you want to be treated. Respect people so they respect, you know, like that kind of shit. But y'all don't respect us. The fuck? If it's starting with y'all should respect us too. It should be a mutual thing. I'm not sitting here to be like talked down upon or nothing. Like, that shit pisses me the fuck off. And like, it trains us to be like timid little bitches, you know? And that's like, that shit's annoying. Like, some of us are getting out of it. I've had a few moments where I got out of it, and you know, it took some people by surprise because they have so much of an ego that they just assume that you would never even dare do, you know, behave that way. So when you do, they're like, oh shit, you know, that kind of thing. Well, not actually oh shit, but you get it, like that kind of reaction, like shock. Another thing that was pissing me off is how I've been seeing, especially on TikTok, I've been seeing this. Like, growing up, there would always be a few people that would give me a hard time if they found that I didn't understand tree or something like that. But I've been noticing a lot from my generation of the fluent tree speakers talking down and making all these TikToks about people that can't speak tree or whatever. And it's just kind of annoying because a lot of our situations were very different to where we weren't taught, and that isn't our fault, you know? Like, my mother, for instance, she can understand tree. She doesn't really speak it like that, but she can understand it perfectly. She can understand Fanti perfectly. If I were to ever ask her some shit or how if someone just said some shit in a video or something, or what my grandmother just said, she could tell me like, no problem. But she wouldn't speak it to me. Then she got my you know, she got my dad and shit. He wasn't Ghanaian. He wasn't speaking that shit. So she was always speaking English. Even when she came back over here, you know, it was the same shit. So she just wasn't. She just didn't teach me. And my grandparents didn't teach me either. Like, not a lot, not enough for me to be fluent. Like, they would just mix it in here and there, but they were still speaking hella English. So, like, a lot of us have situations like that, and I feel like it's kind of like ignorant of them to behave like we were given the opportunity to learn and we didn't take it, like that kind of shit, and kind of rubbing it in our faces that they can speak it and we can't, because you're just finding shit to make people feel like they're less Ghanaian than you, or they'll never be as Ghanaian as you because of that. And it's kind of annoying as hell. And sometimes it makes me not even want to fuck with them, you know? Because it's like, why are you trying? It's hard enough as a black person, you know, in America as it is, being left out by other races and shit. And now my own race is doing the same exact shit. Like, it's so fucking annoying. My own, like, ethnicity is doing the same thing. And I'm like finding it difficult to kind of fit in anywhere sometimes. Like, as someone who's half African American and half Ghanaian, it's like sometimes the Ghanaian side rejects me, and sometimes the African American side rejects me with certain things too, because I'm not African American enough or black enough or whatever the fuck. And it'll be the same shit. I'm just like, you know, it's kind of hard to really find a place to fit in. When it's annoying because you have all this rich culture around you, you know, and it's kind of like sometimes you don't feel like being into it because you're being left out over stupid shit that was out of your control. And now they're being all cliquey. Like, we as black people can be hella cliquey about shit, and it's annoying. And I just think it's unnecessary, especially with the whole. Don't even get me started on the whole like diaspora and shit. Like, that's a whole nother thing. But yeah, that's another thing that I've been noticing a lot, and I just really don't like it. Because it's like you should be teaching people or trying to help them instead of giving them a hard time about it. Like, I think that's really stupid. I think a lot of Guinean people have a problem with that. And it's like, even when we do say some shit, y'all give us such a hard, like, be such dicks about it. And I'm just like, okay, but I've heard a lot of y'all speak English nowhere near correctly, and I don't say shit to you. Sometimes I'll try and correct people. I don't try to be an ass about it. I just try to correct them, you know? Because if I was trying to speak, I'd want to be corrected, but like in a respectful way that doesn't make me feel like an idiot. But y'all don't be trying to help, but act like y'all can speak English just as well, but you damn sure do not be. So, just more ignorant shit that just be getting on my nerves. I'm trying to think. Yeah, I mean, there's so much I could say about the homophobia in our culture. I feel like a lot of that more so has to do with like religion and things like that, Christianity and all that shit. But it's just annoying. Like, I do not feel safe going to Ghana anytime soon because of how bad the homophobia is. Like, you could literally get killed for that shit. You could get arrested for like years. Like, what is it, like 5 years for being gay? Like, or just, you know, having any type of parts in the LGBTQIA plus community. And like, it's to the point where there's people who, if they despise you, let's say you're a straight cis person, and they despise you, they'll go and tell somebody that you're gay and cause all these problems for you just out of spite, because that's some shit. Like, that's some real shit that will happen to people. Like, I just don't feel safe, because if I were to meet certain people, you know, my shit's online now, word goes around quickly. I've definitely had some people that are already in Ghana who live there who've noticed this shit, who have taken note of it, and it's like, I feel like I would be walking around with a fucking target on my back. Like, the first time I went, I dressed hella feminine so nobody would question anything. And every single everything I did, I would dress hella feminine. Long ass braids. Okay, like their idea of, you know, femininity. Long ass braids, short, like, yo, yeah. Because nobody was about to question shit the way I was dressed. But if I were to go now, hell no, I wouldn't feel safe. But especially with my voice, like that shit would give it away. Because some people just kind of be confused. Like, are you a girl? Are you a guy? Like, that's kind of like the point I'm at now sometimes with certain things. So it's not a risk I'm willing to take anytime soon. I would have to be passing as a man every fucking time before I even stepped foot in Ghana again. Because, I don't have time for that shit. I don't fuck with the homophobia, and not that I care about the whole presidency and the NDC and the NPP or whatever the fuck. But I already know, regardless of who it is, the mentality's always has been like that, and it's always gonna be like that. So I'm like, as much as in a perfect world, yeah, I would love to have been living in Ghana. Fuck this place, but there's certain things here that make living more comfortable than I would ever be in Ghana. So, which is sad, you know, especially for like some of the older generation that came to the U.S. to do school, or some people to raise their kids for certain things, and then they always intended to go back. Like, America was not the final destination; it was just a stop. But they stayed there. So the ones that went to Europe stayed in Europe, because it's like, nah, Ghana is not what it was for them. It used to be hard for me to imagine, but lately people have been able to find clips of certain things on TikTok and stuff like that, of like Ghana in 1961, Ghana in this, Ghana in that, like real footage of how like the civilization was, and it's absolutely insane because it was like, it looked organized, like very comfortable and chill. Even though some of that was, you know, colonial times, it looks better than now. Now it's like all this crazy shit going on. It's a mess. It's a headache to be in Ghana. Like, the nightlife is cool, the food is shit, but like if you're living there, after a while, shit's gonna get old. You know? And I'm like, it's not worth it. I could go on a little vacation eventually in a few years, but I would never live in Ghana. Never. I don't even want to say I hope that would change, because I don't have any faith that it's going to, which is really, you know, it's sad. You know, I grew up like, yep, I want to go to school again. I wanted to do so much shit there. I wanted that to be it, you know, but it just can't be. Realistically speaking, it just can't be, you know. I'm trying to think. Yeah, I mean, it's just a whole lot of shit. But yeah, just, you know, a bit too much with the religion sometimes. A bit too much with like the hierarchies and shit. And just the whole elder shit. Like, I kind of get triggered by the word elder sometimes because of how intense some people can be, and they literally would just, you know, treat you any kind of way just because. In our culture, that's okay. There's absolutely no problem with that. And that's just wrong. That's wrong. If I were to marry another Ghanaian person, I would have to have a long ass talk with them about this shit, because if they have any of these beliefs on like a super serious note, like on some real shit, it's gonna be a problem. I'm not tolerating none of that. Somebody had to put their foot down at some point, you know? And like, yeah, I'm looked at as problematic sometimes, and people get annoyed with me when I say certain things. We're having like family discussions or whatever, but it's like, what choice do I have? You know, I haven't spoken on everything, but I've spoken enough for them to know that I'm not quite like some of them. And some of them keep their distance now because of that, because they're like, oh, you know, I'm just gonna say she because they're still calling me she. Like, oh, she's in her own world, you know. She's doing this, da, 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 she's doing that. We don't know what path she's going on. I'm like, what path I go on isn't any of your business. You feel me? You're not, you know, it's none of your business. But some people just don't understand that. And I myself have distanced myself from certain people. Like, they might not fully understand why, but they can sense that there was like a change in my energy. You feel me? Yeah, it's just so much shit, you know, just feeling left out sometimes. Like, I love our music. I mean, most of it. Um, I love the food, most of the food. Um, different aspects of our culture, like the clothes, you know, there's certain like of the traditions that I like, but some of them are just absolute crap, and just very archaic and old school, immature, stupid way of thinking about things. And I'm just gonna continue to clash heads with people over that shit, and that's okay. That's fine. I'm learning not to care about certain shit so much and not be so sensitive about certain things, because you can't really change people. They're stuck in their ways and their heads are gonna be stuck up their asses until the day they die. And that's that. But yeah, I'm kinda tired right now, as y'all can see. I just wanted to get some shit out. I'm struggling to think of more reasons right now, so I'm just gonna end it here. But I would love to do a more in-depth video of this in the future. I just gotta plan it out properly and get some more points together and like film at a reasonable time, because this is not reasonable. I don't know what I was thinking doing this shit. But thank y'all for watching, you know, Vlogmas Day 9. My next video is probably gonna be my goals for 2023 for Vlogmas Day 10. And Friday I'll probably do something that isn't like sit down talky. Maybe Friday and Sunday will be like that, because Saturday I'm working and I might have somewhere to be after that, so I might not have time to do something that isn't sit down and talk. But you know, I've been kind of trying to blend it, everything, a little bit of everything. And you know, I did a little song last night for fun, testing out GarageBand and shit. I haven't used that shit in a while. Just a little bit of everything. My videos are still gonna be uploading for Vlogmas, at least into the first week of the new year, because I started Vlogmas late. But yeah, thank you for watching. I'll see you on the next video.